I'm Samantha Lee with this COVID-19 update. Ontario has reported another 351 new cases of COVID-19, making it the second straight day in which a new high has been set. The jump in cases comes after the province confirmed a record 211 new cases on Sunday. The number of fatalities involving people confirmed to have the virus remains unchanged at 23 from one day prior. The Haldimand-Norfolk Health Unit saw a big jump in COVID-19 cases. On Friday, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in that region went from 1 to 5. With that came the first confirmed related death. The patient was a resident of a retirement home in Haldimand County. On Sunday, the number of cases went to 23. Of those 23, 7 people who were confirmed to have the virus came from Anson Place Retirement Home and Long-Term Care Facility. The Brant County Health Unit is confirming 3 more cases of COVID-19, bringing the area's total to 11. Health officials say one of the cases appears to be the first case of community transmission in our area. Acting Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Elizabeth Urbanski, says as this pandemic continues to evolve and community spread has been established in many neighboring communities, the who, when, where, and hows of each individual case are becoming much less critical. Local, provincial, and national orders and recommendations are illustrating that we have to assume an individual can catch this illness anywhere at this point. She adds this is why it's extremely important that residents are staying at home, physical distancing where possible, and following other public health guidance. Barriers are going up around Six Nations entrance points to keep the virus out of that community to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Six Nations Grand River Elected Council announced that on March 31st, those living within the Six Nations area would be allowed out for essential supplies, and they would also allow deliveries of essential supplies in. Elected Chief Mark Hill said to date there are at least 30 people awaiting test results for COVID-19 at Six Nations. 6 others have come back negative. He stresses there are no cases of COVID-19 at Six Nations. The barricades will be enforced beginning Tuesday, March 31st. Highway 54 through Middleport has been closed. Drivers without status cards are being turned away. 9 residents of a long-term care home in Bobcaygeon have died following an outbreak of the novel coronavirus. The Haliburton-Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit said Thursday 3 residents and 14 staff members at the facility have tested positive. 2 patients passed away last week, and on Monday, they confirmed an additional 7 patients have since died. Businesses and nonprofit organizations seeing a drop of at least 30% in revenue due to COVID-19 will qualify for the government's 75% wage subsidy program. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the program could mean payments of up to $847 a week. And the Prime Minister encouraged businesses to top up their employees' wages with the remaining 25% of their salaries. Trudeau also said that the program must operate on a basis of good faith and trust, warning there will be serious consequences for those who abuse it. Mandatory closure of businesses and other economically damaging measures caused by the public health emergency have led to millions of Canadians being thrown out of work. Over 1.6 million Canadians have applied for employment insurance in less than 10 days. Also on Monday, the Prime Minister announced more measures to help provide young people with mental health supports and Canadian seniors with practical services. The government will provide $157.5 million to address the needs of Canadians experiencing homelessness, and up to $50 million to women's shelters and sexual assault centers. Trudeau also announced $7.5 million in funding to Kids Help Phone to provide young people with mental health support, and $9 million through the United Way Canada for local organizations to support practical services to Canadian seniors. The Ford government has put more restrictions on social gatherings during the coronavirus pandemic to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Effective immediately, the province has issued an emergency order to prohibit organized public events and social gatherings of more than 5 people. This is based on the advice of Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. David Williams. This replaces the previous emergency order, which forbade events of more than 50 people with a possible penalty of $750 or more. This does not apply to essential businesses, childcare facilities, and families of more than 5. Apparently, exception will also be made for funerals. This comes as more reports have trickled in this week of people leaving their homes and gathering in numbers not deemed acceptable by the health professionals in the province. And stay with Brent.1 as we meet with the Brant County Councillor Mark LaFerrier, who warns that if people don't take this seriously, the County of Brant will be forced to start closing all parks and ticketing violators. A 65-year-old Nova Scotia man has been ticketed for failing to self-isolate for 14 days after entering the province. Police received several complaints about a man who was blatantly disregarding the self-isolation rules. Upon entering the province on Sunday, police issued a summary offense ticket to the man and charged him with violating Section 7(1) of the Health Protection Act. Also on Sunday, Halifax police issued their first ticket under the Emergency Measures Act to a woman who was in Point Pleasant Park. That premier declared a state of emergency on March 22nd, closing all provincial parks and beaches and authorizing police to issue tickets to enforce physical distancing. The Tokyo Olympics will open next year. Organizers say the ceremony will take place on July 23, 2021. Last week, the IOC and Japanese organizers postponed the Olympics a year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This year's games were scheduled to open on July 24th and close August 9th, but 1 year delay will see the closing ceremony on August 8th. And some feel-good news to end this note on. As humans retreat into their homes, as more and more countries go under coronavirus lockdown, wild animals are coming out to explore the empty streets of some of our biggest cities. Wild boar have descended from the hills around Barcelona, while silke deer are nosing their way around the deserted metro stations of Nara, Japan. Gangs of wild turkeys have been strutting the streets of Oakland, California. A puma turned up in the center of Chilean capital Santiago, which is under a curfew. And there are sightings of dolphins in Venice's canals and in ports elsewhere in the Mediterranean. And we have this message from our MPP, Will Bauma.
Hey Brantford, Will Bauma here, and as you can see, we're taking a moment to thank all of our first responders and frontline workers. So if you're working at a grocery store stocking shelves, if you're on an ambulance as a paramedic, if you're on a fire truck, if you're a police officer, if everyone who's helping supply frontline, whether you're making hand sanitizer, whether you're making medications we need right now, thank you so much. Have a great day, Brantford Brant.